Okay, good evening, everyone. It's 6 o'clock, so we start the session. I'm requesting once again, as always, all of you please open your videos so that we don't take time and get cracking straight away. I have not much to say today on my own. I'm just assuming that you all are participating in group discussions and following the drill that I had suggested of you. So continue to do that. Today's session, as you all know, is about the questions that have been asked this year. These scripts were shared by Rajat in a separate platform on WhatsApp. And I hope you all have gone through those questions. So the session today is, in case you have run into any problems or you feel a certain question needs further discussion and elaboration, this session is primarily for that and nothing else. But apart from that, if you have any other issue, you can raise it. But to begin with, we will seek questions, such questions where you found difficult to address or you think that they need to be discussed. So we go open straight away. Anyone, if you want a question to be raised, you can raise your hand and then we can start the discussion straight away. In the meanwhile, please, all of you open your videos. Okay, we have a hand from Kishan. Kishan, you go ahead, ask your question.
Sir, there was a question related to... Good evening, sir. I'm audible.
Yes, you are audible. You can be slightly louder.
Yes, sir. Sir, there was a question in the transcript which was asked that why foreign courts do not refer to Indian judgments, especially courts in the developed countries, while our courts, Indian Supreme Courts, continuously refer to the judgments of the foreign courts, primarily the Supreme Court of the United States, such that is not followed by the when it comes to the orders of our courts or judgments of our courts.
Okay, anybody will attempt to answer this question? Why do Western courts or developed country courts do not quote judgments from Indian courts? Anybody? आप लोग नहीं कीजिएगा तो फिर I'll call out the name and ask you. Ask one of you. If I don't, Nisha, please open your video. Om, also open your video quickly. Anybody volunteering to answer this question? I asked this question. I'm a board member. I asked this question of you. Sumi, how would you answer this question? Unmute yourself and answer the question. Sumi, unmute yourself. You'll have to unmute yourself. Sumi. Sumi, I can't hear you. You have to unmute yourself. Administrator, please unmute her. Yes.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Yes, answer this question.
Sir, in my opinion, sir, I think it is more to do with their Western notion of understanding that the Indian judicial system is not that mature to dictate a judgment that has the rationality to be followed. Wherein, sir, we in India, sir, judges consider that the Western judiciary is more mature enough and has a long history and has dictated better judgments. So we actually look to them because they have an institution that has been established for a very long time. So we look to them for the jurisprudence purpose. This is what is coming to my mind.
Very good answer, Sumi. Just reverse it. What you said in the second, start with that.
Sure, okay,
instead
sir.
of passing a value judgment in the beginning, as you did,
Yes, sir.
you pass a value judgment in the first part of it. There's no harm.
Okay, sir.
Bring it in the second part. Start by saying they have a longer tradition, jurisprudence. All that is very good. In fact, that should be the answer. The second part is that it could be possible. Don't say that they do it. Just change their language a bit. It is quite likely they would be thinking that they are more developed in the Western world. Though it's very difficult to say why do they do that. And my conjecture is, see, look at the language that I'm using. My conjecture is that it could be on account of this superiority complex that they may have. Right?
Okay. Yes,
just give us the answer.
Okay, sir. Sure.
But your answer was very good. You articulated it very well. So that will help you. When is your interview, Sumi?
Sir, it's on 26th of March.
So you still have a month and a half. Keep doing what I hope you're participating in group discussions and
Yes, sir.
editorial article aloud.
Yes, sir.
It will further hone your expression. It is already very good. It will improve further. And you will be more confident about it. So instead of me asking you a question, you would raise your hand and say, sir, I can answer that question.
Sure,
So,
sir.
okay.
Sure, sir.
Okay, I think this
Thank you.
this question has been sufficiently well answered. But if somebody wants to add to it, you can ask. Anybody wanting to add to what answer Sumi gave? Or Kishan, are you satisfied with the answer? Yes, Kishan is. So the board gives you good marks. Kishan is satisfied. Right? Now Nisha and Om, I don't know why they are behind the curtain, why aren't they open the videos? Please do that. Any other question? Anybody else? Have you gone through the scripts? Have you all read the scripts that have been presented? अरे भाई हाँ या ना में गर्दन इतनी बार कह चुका हूँ हिंदी में कुछ मिला गर्दन मुड़िया हिलाइए भाई थोड़ी सी आप लोग हिलाते ही नहीं ना मुस्कुराते हैं ना मुड़िया हिलाते हैं बुद्ध बने बैठे रहते हैं मुझे ऐसा लगता है मेरी बात आज तक पहुंच नहीं रही है ना तो यही बता दीजिए हाँ पढ़ा आपने सबने स्क्रिप्ट पढ़ा इट्स वेरी यूजफुल सम ऑफ द क्वेश्चंस आई हैव रेड दो स्क्रिप्ट्स वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग क्वेश्चंस and they would be a good solid ground on which you can prepare for your interview. You can use them. Yes, Kaushal. Unmute yourself, Kaushal. Yes.
Sir, good evening. So this question was asked on 30th of January. So question was, why are some people not happy with the Gandhiji and his ideals? With Gandhiji and his ideals.
Okay. Okay. Anybody wanting to answer this question? Why are some people not very happy with the ideals of Gandhiji? For me, this question is important in terms of how do you approach answering. Okay, SSS. You are in lovely environment, so you answer this question.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, our country have a very long tradition of agreement, disagreement, philosophies, counter philosophies, and there is possibility that few people might have views diverging from anyone, and Mahatma Gandhiji is not an exception to that. So there might be that their perspective of looking towards things could be different. So and agreement and disagreement, they are part of freedom of speech and expression, which is very well enshrined in our constitution.
Anybody else attempting this answer? Okay, so this answer is good, but think in terms of your opening comment. If I were you, I will start by saying, sir, only those persons who have a difference of opinion can tell why they have a different opinion. So I can't say why. But it appears, बाकी जो आपने फिर अपने जो आपने कहानी बताई बहुत अच्छी बताई वो सब ठीक है. Because how can you say,
yes,
why does somebody else have a different opinion? Only he can say why is a different opinion. You are merely giving a rationale that having a difference of opinion is nothing unusual. It's a part of our culture. It's a part of our history. It's a part of our democratic traditions where people do have difference of opinion. So there's nothing wrong with having that. But why they have it, it is only they can tell. You can't get into the minds and say that they disagree.
So I have a thing.
They can ask you a follow-up question. They say, but you guess what could be possibly the reason. फिर आप जो बताना बता दीजिए उससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता आपका कैसी है your guess is as good as mine. They are looking at how are you presenting your question. And again, your name I am forgetting because Shamsher Singh है क्या नाम है आपका
सर सुमेश तुरवाड़े.
सुमित आप अपना वो प्रैक्टिस कर रहे हैं यू आर प्रैक्टिसिंग यू आर पार्टिसिपेटिंग इन ग्रुप डिस्कशंस
Yes, sir.
Regularly?
Yes, sir.
Which group are you in?
Sir, GD23.
Okay. Keep doing that. You need a bit of an improvement. When is your interview?
Sir, it is on 24th Feb.
अच्छा टाइम तो ज्यादा नहीं है बट कोशिश करिए आप इसको. निशा, जितेंद्र कुमार, श्रेयंस, घरदे, राम, व्हाई आर यू बिहाइंड द कर्टन? व्हाई डोंट यू ओपन योर वीडियोस? ये मुझे बार बार कहना पड़ता है आप लोगों से, समझ में नहीं आता. आप लोग बाहर घूम रहे हैं, किसी फैशन शो में है, किसी फिल्म में है, क्या है? वीडियो खोलिए अपना. निशा, जितेंद्र कुमार, श्रेयंस, घरदे एंड राम, प्लीज ओपन योर वीडियोस. ओके, which is the next question? Kaushal has a hand raised.
In the same question, I just want to ask.
Yes.
In the same question, I want to ask, for Gandhiji, there are disagreements in academic circles which are fine. Like he was against the modernization, or he was against the machines, or his principles of Gram Swaraj may not be very practical, or the stateless society may not be very practical. However, when we talk about the people who are not agreeing with these ideas, that is almost written on the wall that there are certain sections in the society who belong to far right spectrum. So we may not be allowed to say that in interview, but are we being too diplomatic when we are saying that only those people who have the differences they can only tell?
देखिए, let me explain this to you, and all of you should listen to this carefully.
Yes.
We all have our views on issues, which on occasions may be a bit aggressive. You are not supposed to present yourself. It's not being diplomatic. It is not being diplomatic.
Yes.
How? See, you are becoming judgmental about them. Try and avoid being judgmental. Those people are judgmental is their problem. But as a civil servant, you can't afford to be judgmental. So don't bring it this concept of far right, far left, extreme. You don't have to bring in this concept, because unlike a common man who can afford to have extreme views, you as a civil servant cannot afford to have that, even for a person who's extreme. So your comments have to be balanced. It's not diplomatic. It's, I hope you become a civil servant, and I'm sure you'll become one. You'll realize this, that you can't have ideological extremities as a civil servant. And that's what the board is. Don't confuse it with diplomacy. It's not diplomacy. That's the attribute required of a civil servant, that he has to have a balanced view, even with regard to extremists. Okay? You can't be publicly condemning them. You have to take your action. If he does anything illegal, you do it. But you can't take action against him just for his extreme views. You get this point? So that's not being diplomatic. It's having a balanced view. And that is why the answer that was given was the correct one. Right. Any other question? If you had read the transcript, I'm surprised. I have so many questions in my mind. Okay. Abhay Pratap Singh.
Good evening, sir. Sir, am I audible?
Yes, you are
Yes.
audible.
Sir, one of the chairperson asked question that if you were to become dictator of India, then what changes will you propose? Sir, my concern was that if I say something, it is highly possible that I may go against some of the basic democratic principles, and then I may be in trouble while counter questioning. So, sir, how should I navigate this situation?
Okay, it's a very interesting question. Anybody willing to answer this? Very, very interesting question. He's actually testing your sense of humor. किशन, मैं आपको बुलवाऊंगा, मैं पहले चाहता हूं और लोग भी बोलें. I mean, I'm so glad you are eager to respond. I want others who are sitting silent to volunteer. Now, who's HP? The lady is there. Since the name is not there, please unmute yourself and answer this question. Also tell your name. HP.
Good evening, sir.
Good
I
evening.
guess I'm unmute. Yes, sir.
Sorry?
Sir, I could not unmute myself. Now I'm
So
unmuted.
what is your good name?
So my name is Ira.
Ira. Yes, Ira. How do you respond to this question?
Sir, I've just joined. I can't think really well, but I think I could have thought of. Sir, I can make use of.
Don't worry. No, see, don't worry now. What I'm trying to say is here, you may be trumped with such questions. I'm sorry, Trump is not a Freudian slip, but you may be trumped with such questions.
Yes, sir.
That suppose you are made a dictator, what will you do? Now, this is one of the many questions where they are actually testing your sense of humor. So if I were to answer this question, I would start by saying, sir, I hope not. And then start. Thereby, you have prepared a ground for an answer. You understand the importance of this opening remark, I hope not. Because then you can get away with anything. You have very indirectly stated your dislike for dictatorship without saying that I dislike dictatorship. See, उसका अंग्रेजी में ह्यूमर कहते हैं, एक उर्दू में शब्द है हाजिर जवाब. उसका there is no translation for either in Hindi or English. उर्दू का ये हाजिर जवाब. So sometimes they are testing your humor, how good you are at. Obviously, they are not going to make dictator. They are not looking at an answer. They are testing your response. And then you can say, sir, if I do, I hope not, but if I do become a dictator, फिर जो कहना आप कह दीजिए. उसकी चिंता नहीं है. See, in all these conversations that I'm having with you, I'm saying content is important, but more important is how do you approach answering that question? जैसे हमारे यहाँ उमेश कुमार जी हैं, रोमिल साहब हैं, राम साहब हैं, इनको मैं कहते कहते थक गया अपना वीडियो नहीं खोलने। मतलब क्या कारण है ये भी नहीं बता रहे, बोले नहीं खोलेंगे। अब उमेश कुमार जी ने खोल दिया। देखिए इतना अच्छे एनवायरमेंट में घूम रहे हो, अकेले में मजा लेना चाहते हैं, हमें दिखाना नहीं चाहते। मतलब पूरा मजा वो अकेले लेना चाहते हैं, वो फोटो नहीं दिखाना चाहते कि हम कितने मजे में हैं। जैसे हम लोग सब दुख में, अरे भाई खोल लीजिए। मैं तो बार बार ये कहता हूँ, इतनी मिन्नत में भगवान से कह रहा था तो अवतरित हो गए होते अब तक। मैं आपको खोलते ही नहीं है। रोमिल साहब तो अभी भी बिल्कुल गार्गी एम रोमिल, तो समझ में नहीं आता। मतलब हम क्या कहें आपसे। अब राम साहब ने भी देखिए, यू आर ए स्मार्ट लुकिंग यंग मैन, व्हाट इज योर प्रॉब्लम एक्सेप्ट फॉर योर पार्ट गोइंग बियर्ड, इसको शेव करके जाइएगा इंटरव्यू पे। बट मैं एक आध सजेशन दे दूंगा आपको, अच्छा आपकी शक्ल देखूंगा, और क्या करूंगा मैं भाई। मालूम नहीं आप लोग क्यों नहीं खोलते अपना ये वीडियो। ओके, सो द क्वेश्चन हियर इज हाउ डू यू रिस्पॉन्ड, एंड दिस हैज कम थ्रू प्रैक्टिस। मेरा सजेशन ये है आप लोगों से कि नाउ दैट यू आर इनटू ग्रुप डिस्कशंस, pick up randomly questions that have already been asked, convert this group discussion into mock interviews and ask these questions. Am I reaching out to you? Am I making sense to you? अनुराग, आप बिल्कुल एकदम बुत बने बैठे हैं। अरे गर्दन, हाँ ये हुई ना बात। मुस्कुरा दीजिए, गर्दन हिला दीजिए, मुझे समझ में आएगा। मुझे डर क्या लगता है ना, कि आप ऐसी बुत बन के बोर्ड के सामने बैठे, चाहे जितना अच्छा आंसर दीजिए आपको नंबर नहीं मिलेगा। और मैं अपने अनुभव के हिसाब से बता रहा हूं। You have to engage in a conversation. I'm talking to you. Please respond. Respond का मतलब नहीं आप बोलना शुरू कर दे, मुस्कुरा दीजिए, काफी है वही मेरे लिए, है ना? Right. Should we go to the next question, or somebody would like to attempt an elaborate answer to, would you like to, when you become a dictator, what would you like to do? Anybody wanting to attempt an answer? Yes, Om.
Sir, can I say that you said it? Hope I hope I don't become a dictator. If I become a dictator, I will restore the democracy as soon as possible, and also in a better way.
Excellent idea. Excellent answer. Excellent answer. Sir, going by the democratic traditions that we have, I would like to restore democracy at the earliest. Excellent answer. देखिए कितना जल्दी मेरे दिमाग में नहीं आया आंसर, इनके आगे दिमाग में। वेरी गुड आंसर। सो दे आर टेस्टिंग व्हाट आर योर, एक्चुअली क्या है, दे आर आल्सो साइकोलॉजिकली टेस्टिंग यू, though there is no psychologist sitting there. They gauge, because these are all experienced people on the other side. They gauge from your answers about your thinking, your thought process. Okay, I have a hand from Mridul Pundir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mridul.
So my question is, why India has low female representation in parliament while Africa has high, despite Africa is called a poor countries?
Okay, good question. See, some interesting questions are emerging. Anybody volunteering to answer? Whom has just spoken to, I'll get somebody else to answer this question. No hands. I want to see a hand or two, भाई। आप लोग क्या ग्रुप डिस्कशन नहीं कर रहे हैं? Okay, Anurag, you answer this question. Why are there more parliamentarians in African countries than in India, when India is more economically developed?
So looking at the history of Indian society, right after the Gupta period, we have seen the women being. Sir, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. Go ahead.
Sir, we have seen the women being largely domesticated, and the men taking major role in the social, economic, and political spheres. And since then, we have seen the participation of declining participation of women in the society. So that tradition is still continued. So that is the one major reason why we are still looking at the deep-rooted patriarchal nature of our society, because of which the participation of women are not seen at par as men in parliament. And coming to the African representation of women, uh, we can say uh, there are the society may be more gender neutral in terms of participation of women, and so.
Okay, Anurag, it's a good answer, but just try and think over what I'm going to tell you. You can plead ignorance about your lack of understanding of the African society. You can say that. Sir, I do not have a detailed understanding of the African society, but this being a social and political rather than an economic issue, we may have developed economically, but socially and politically, probably we are not as evolved as Africa, where apparently the women have a more prominent role to play. And I've heard that there are some matriarchal societies also. So women have a more important role in society. So you have given a disclaimer that you do not have a great understanding. From broad understanding of the place, you come to this conclusion. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I have a hand there, Umesh. Would you like to add to this? Umesh Kumar?
Yes, sir. I would like to say that in India, sir, political power is synonymous with power, sir. And given that we have female reservation in local self-governance, sir, there also the concept of Pradhan Pati is quite famous, sir. So I think the process of empowerment starts from the home, sir. Until and unless we give women power at the household level, sir, we cannot expect them to become political leaders. So I think, sir, we should empower them at the house level so that they can be empowered at the political level, sir, also.
No, I hope all of you have listened to Umesh very carefully. Now I'm going to analyze that. And all of you should understand this. The question was not what should be done. Was the question what should be done? Where is Umesh? Umesh is there. Umesh, आपने question सुना था? Was the question what should be done?
No, sir.
So then why are you answering that question? Listen to what the board member is saying very carefully. They are making a statement. They're not asking, why is it?
Sir.
They are asking a factual situation. They are asking the difference between them. What should be done is not being asked. आपने पूरा व्याख्या, your entire answer is what needs to be done. That may be a subsequent question, may not be a subsequent question. So please listen to that carefully. And again, in your groups, when the answer is being given by somebody, others should observe carefully what they're saying. This you will have to develop. That answer what the question is. You don't have to display your knowledge or your morality or your ethics in saying this should be done when the question is not there. They haven't asked how women should be and why women should not be given more representation. That's not in question there at all. So you compare this answer with the previous answer. Previous answer is on the dot. Whatever question is asked, there is a likelihood of a subsequent question. Given the situation, what should be in India? Then you can answer that question. Is that understood by everyone? फिर ये संजय मीना साहब जो हैं बिल्कुल एकदम अरे वाह 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 वाह, अरे कुछ गर्दन हिला दीजिए मीना साहब. आप कुछ नहीं गर्दन वर्दन नहीं हिलाएंगे, मुस्कुराएंगे नहीं तो बोर्ड संजय का मालूम नहीं वो क्या बोल रहा है. मैं बार बार why I ask you to open your videos, I want to see your facial expressions. To me it's very very important. मैंने लास्ट टाइम भी कहा था, मैं फिर कह रहा हूं चीज को. Communication is not merely speaking. It is your body language, it is your facial language. It is just not merely speaking. Hopefully, many of you will become civil servants. There again, you'll require facial expression, not merely your speech. Speech is very, very important. There's no doubt about it. आप बुत बने बैठे रहेंगे तो बड़ा मुश्किल हो जाएगा भाई. किसी तुक्के से आप आ गए, सिविल सर्वेंट बन भी गए, तो यहां खुद को मुसीबत करेंगे, दुनिया को मुसीबत करेंगे और परेशान हो जाएंगे. ठीक है? ओके. ओम.
Sir, I wanted to just add something like they are comparing the why in Africa there are more representation of women. There is a one demography is a factor because there was so much sectarian violence happen in African countries that the male population itself had declined and that lead to the empowerment of women. Can I state this is as a one of the reason? And
I don't know whether it could be a reason.
Sir, it is a reason in Rwanda. This,
as I said, my understanding of Africa is also limited. You may know more. My limited understanding of Africa is that in a large number of tribes, it's a matriarchal society. It has evolved that way. And one of the reasons for matriarchal society is the one that you mentioned. So the immediate reason is because of matriarchal society, women have a greater role to play there. Because children live with the mother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So hence leadership. As I said, you may be right. I have no detailed understanding as you have. I would refrain from making a statement about which I'm not sure.
Okay, sir.
So if you're sure, make that. As I said, I'm not conversant with that. If you're sure, make that statement, because somebody may have worked in Africa, may know, and start contesting it.
Sir, I have one more doubt.
Yeah.
Suppose their question is about the comparison of Africa and India, and if I have no knowledge about the why African countries have more female representation at parliamentary, how to frame this?
Okay, start. No, not only in Africa. In some question, if you don't have any knowledge about it, admit it. Sir, I'm not fully conversant with the status in Africa, so it may not be appropriate for me to compare. However, then you can say, on the limited understanding that I have, this is my understanding. फिर आपने दरवाजा खोल लिया बड़ा सा, बच गए आप.
Okay, sir. Okay.
है ना?
Thank you, sir.
Admit your ignorance. There's no harm. वहां आप ज्यादा तीर तो अपना बनने की कोशिश. On the contrary, you should be humble and be able to admit if you don't know something. No harm. It will go in your favor, right? Mridul, you are on mute.
Yes, sir, I've got the answer.
You want to say something?
No, sir, this was my question. I've got the answer.
You got the answer? Okay. यहाँ भी देखिए बड़े अच्छे नंबर मिल गए, लेकिन 3-4 लोगों को जोड़ के मिले अच्छे नंबर. ठीक है ना? And any other observation, question that you come across? Yes, Kaushik.
So one of the questions asked was, in your area, how much an MLA spends for winning an election, or at least contesting the
Very
election?
good question. See, you will be. I'm so glad you're picking up these questions. बाकी लोगों ने मुझे लगता है पढ़े ही नहीं, और भी हैं बड़े अच्छे अच्छे क्वेश्चन. This is a forum where you raise that question. Okay, anybody answering this? Again, your sense of humor is put to test. Kishan, मैं आता हूं आपके पास. I know you are there. I don't see. Okay, Khushbu, you answer this question. Unmute yourself and answer this question.
Sir, I don't know. I was thinking that what should I answer?
No, so I've given you sufficient time to think. You answer now.
Sir, I don't know, sir. Really, I don't know how to answer it.
No. I thought you were answering the question by saying, I don't know how much he spends, which is a good answer.
Okay, sir.
No, you don't.
Yes, sir.
Don't get upset when you don't know the answer. Sometimes it is right not to know the answer.
Yes, sir.
All of you listen to this. Don't get nervous when you don't know an answer. In a question like this, who would know an answer? Does anybody here know how much his MLA spends? Does anybody know? बताइए, कुछ गर्दन हाँ में हाँ. ये फिर राम साहब पहले तो अपना कैमरा नहीं खोल लेते, अब हल्के से मुस्कुरा दिए. अरे भाई थोड़ा हिला दिए गर्दन. VL29 भी नाम भी नहीं है इनका, तो मैं कुछ और कह नहीं सकता. अरे भाई कुछ एक्सप्रेशन दीजिए अपने चेहरे से. Does anybody sitting here know how much is MLA spend?
Sir, can I say like that as much as Election Commission sanctioned the MLA?
No, but is that true? आप हंसती चली जाएंगी.
Yes, sir.
क्यों आप भाई, अगर this is a factual question, no?
Yes, sir.
It's a factual question, no? Either you know it or you don't know it. So उसमें you can't say, sir, you can't say I can't answer this question.
Okay, sir.
In a factual question, how can you say I can't answer this question? They will ask you, what is your age? So either you know your age or you don't know your age.
Yes.
What is the age of the President of India? Either you know it or you don't know it. In a factual question, you cannot say that I can't answer. You can say I don't know, but you can't say I can't answer. You understand the subtle difference that I am trying to bring about here. Right? Okay. Can anybody attempt any other answer to this? If this is a question, do you know? Because, this question is not asked to seek an answer from you. there would certainly be some subsequent question to this. Yes, Puneet. Puneet, unmute yourself. Puneet? Yes.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Puneet.
Yes, I would like to answer it like that, sir. I am not aware about the exact number, but the campaigning period was celebrated like festival in my village or my region. So they may have spent some amount, sir.
Why do you want to say all that unless you are asked?
No,
See,
sir. In that question, how
listen.
much?
All of you listen carefully.
Okay, sir.
In a factual question, answer has to be yes or no.
Okay, sir.
If they ask any question after that, you answer. On your own,
Okay,
you
sir.
should not try and make up facts.
Okay.
I don't know how many of you watched my initial video, and if you haven't watched it again, there are two types of questions. One are factual questions, the other are opinionated questions. In fact, factual questions, you know the fact, tell them. If you don't know the fact, say no. Period. In opinions, some of the opinions will be based on certain knowledge. If you have that knowledge, answer that question. If you don't have that knowledge, admit it. If you have little knowledge, then say that you don't have so much knowledge and then answer the question. Is this understood?
Yes, sir.
Good. अच्छा, जब मैं बात करता हूं तो मैं खाली उनसे नहीं बात कर रहा हूं, बाकी सबसे भी बात कर रहा हूं. तो आई एक्सपेक्ट अ रिस्पॉन्स, नॉट वर्बल रिस्पॉन्स बट अ फिजिकल रिस्पॉन्स. ओके, अब मुझे गर्दन कुछ हिलती हुई दिख रही है, कुछ लोग मुस्कुराते हुए भी दिख रहे हैं, लेकिन कुछ अभी भी नहीं सुन रहे. युवराज सिंह साहब, हाँ देखिए, हिला, गर्दन हिली तो मुझे कुछ दिखी. ओके, नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन. आप लोगों ने लगता पढ़ा नहीं, वरना इतने अच्छे अच्छे क्वेश्चन थे. क्वेश्चन बड़ा बढ़िया ट्रम्प पे था. एनीवे, नाउ दैट Abhay has raised his hand. Abhay?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Sir, one of the question was asked, India is seeking for veto of permanent position at United Nations Security Council. But sir, they also asked that in current situation, in current global order, is it right way forward to have veto power? And even if India gets a veto power, then how it is going to make difference that 5 members or 6 members are having veto power, even if they are not able to handle situations?
Okay, good question. Another good question. Anybody volunteering to answer? Why should India push for veto Security Council permanent membership? Om has already spoken. I want people who have not spoken to speak. Yuvraj Singh.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, India is willing to have are focusing to have a veto and the permanent seat at the UNSC, sir, so that it reflects the India's growing power, and also, sir, it gives the India opportunity to manage the global conflicts and be part of it. And third, sir, it can safeguards its own interest and also safeguards the interest of the global South, which India wants to be champion of, sir. This is the reason, sir, I think.
Okay,
Because
anybody else? Shreyansh.
Sir, I would like to say that India is wanting to be a permanent member of UNSC, not just because of veto, not just to gain veto power, but to be a representative in a global forum to safeguard the larger global interests like terrorism, climate change, and all those things for which India is a champion, along with the global South population. So it's not about veto power, but it's about the representation.
The follow-up question was, or within the question was, that in any case, they aren't doing anything. So what is the big deal in fighting for something which you can't influence anything in the world?
We may use the diplomatic power.
As a board member, I'll ask you, Security Council has not been able to stop the Ukraine war, the Palestinian crisis. They are unable to do anything. So if they are unable to do anything, why necessarily fight for a position where you are unable to do anything? How would you answer this question? To me, this is more important rather than India seeking. Because the question could be, and anyone could be asked, Has Security Council become important? Let me put this question this way. Has Security Council become important? Is that Ira, HP? HP is Ira? Yes, Ira.
Sir, I would like to answer the first question that you asked, that why do we need UNSC when they're not able to do anything?
Okay,
So,
go
sir,
ahead.
I think their inability to act is also coming from their inability to reform. Sir, because of the status quoism, there's an issue. There are certain problems within that they are not able to act. And I guess what India is wanting is a reform, and that does not translate directly only to the veto power, but a broader reform in the whole of UN. So that is yet to be deliberated. India is not asking for a veto only.
Okay, let me give it a slightly different tilt now that I've heard all of you. If we present before the board and say, sir, it is true, we start by saying it is true that Security Council has not been able to stop all the wars. But you can't visualize an agency that can do everything perfectly. There have been a number of cases where Security Council has indeed played a very important role and managed to contain a crisis in a number of ways. So though it may not be perfect, still has a role to perform. And in that role, India wants to be a participant there. And then what Ira says comes in, that India does not merely want to be there for veto power, but in reforming the organization that will probably help it to manage international situations better than it does now, because it appears that it does not reflect the aspirations of all the people of the world. They only select people sitting there. And India, having evolved the way it is, it deserves to be there. Is this okay with all of you? Can I see some nods? खुशबू जी अब फ्रोजन हो गई. अरे वाह, थैंक यू. आप लोग जब सर हिला देते हैं मेरे कहने पर, मुझे बड़ा अच्छा लगता है. बोर्ड वाला आपसे नहीं पूछेगा, वो तो सिर्फ ऑब्जर्व करेगा कि ये मुझे सुन रहे हैं नहीं सुन रहे हैं. ठीक है ना? ओके. Ira, I'm happy the way you articulate your questions. The last time also I was very happy. You continue it. When is your interview, Ira? Can you unmute Ira, please? Administrator.
So my interview is on 25th of February.
So there isn't much time, but still, if you are you actively participating in group discussions?
Yes, sir. But my group, I guess they abandoned the meeting for a few weeks in between. But I think today we have a meeting at 9 p.m. So, yeah.
Okay, so please have that in case anyone, if you're having a problem, please approach Rajat, who's here with us right now. And anyone wanting to have discussions will be given an opportunity to do that. But do have discussions regularly. Okay. Okay, next question. Kaushik, you asked, there's nobody else. Okay, go ahead, Kaushik. Ask.
Sir, I'm talking about the same question that MLA won. Actually, candidate had answered, probably he would have said that amount of money that is being spent is much more than the limit that has been prescribed by Election Commission. So follow-up question came. So what do you think? Where does that money come from, and what are the ways of curbing it? So how should we answer such questions?
So if you answer this, if first answer is that I'm not aware how much he spends, then they will say, don't you think he spends much more than what is prescribed by the Election Commission? Then the next answer would be, sir, it appears that he does. And then you can say that. You can't say he does. You'll say that it appears it does, going by what we get to see. Then the next question would be, how do you control that? So next question ka answer hoga ki that's what Election Commission is all about. Is the job of the Election Commission to see if more expenditure is being done. And then there are provisions under the law to prevent him from doing it. Then the next question would be, why isn't Election Commission doing that? To that you can say, sir, I'm not sure why aren't they doing it. They should be doing it. I mean, how can you say why a particular, they ask you, why isn't Supreme Court passing this judgment? You can't say, this is the reason they are not passing the judgment. How do you know the reason? Is the organization that is not doing it should be able to answer it. And the discussion closes there. See, that's how you close the discussion. Sometimes it remains open. There could be a disagreement and it could remain. But in this case, you can close this discussion because the Election Commission is tasked to do that. It is not doing that, that's their problem. Now they can ask you, sir, if you become Election Commissioner, will you be able to do that? Sir, it's difficult for me to visualize right now because I will have to understand the role of the election commission, their powers, and then see what are the operational issues and then do it. You can't say, sir, I will do it. I'll make an election commission. This I'll do it. Then they'll ask you how. आप फंस गए फिर. Again, I keep telling all of you, it is not as much as content as the manner in which you do it. That's the key for success in an interview board. Okay? You look reasonably satisfied, Kaushal? Okay, good. Next. यार इतने मैंने स्क्रिप्ट पढ़ी मैं आई एम नॉट आस्किंग यू बिकॉज आई फाउंड सच आप लोगों ने पढ़ी नहीं लगता है स्क्रिप्ट बिकॉज हाउ कैन यू मिस out some outstanding questions that were asked in the board. And it doesn't appear that you have read it. Otherwise, you would have raised this question. There was a very interesting question on Trump. And they're not easy answers. So I thought I would get questions where there aren't any easy. Some of the questions raised were very, very good. But others, it appears you haven't read those transcripts. Otherwise, you could have come up with these questions. May I therefore suggest to all of you, इधर उधर घूमना, ये कई लाइट वाइट में घूम रहे हैं, बड़ा बढ़िया है एसएस साहब, घूमिए आप, लेकिन स्क्रिप्ट भी पढ़ लीजिए जो पहली वाली है. यू विल गेट सम आइडिया एज टू व्हाट सॉर्ट ऑफ क्वेश्चंस आर बीइंग आस्क्ड. एंड देन माय सजेशन टू ऑल ऑफ यू व्हिच आई सेड अर्लियर, यूज योर ग्रुप्स टू रेज एंड डिस्कस दोस क्वेश्चंस. इट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट because again you will get to know how to approach answering a question. I keep repeating this, how to approach answering this question. Okay, if there are no questions we can close the session, but I thought there would have been. Okay, there is Om again. Some have done it. अब वो जब रिजल्ट आएगा मेरे समझ सबकी शक्लें दिमाग में है. हर साल मैं ऐसे ही करता हूं और उनको मैं वार्न भी कर देता हूं कि आप जो हम कर रहे हैं नहीं कर रहे हैं वो नहीं करते हैं, और फिर वो नहीं भी आते हैं. मैं आपको बता रहा हूं, 5 साल का एक्सपीरियंस बता रहा हूं. मैं शक्ल देखकर इसमें बता सकता हूं कौन अच्छा करेगा कौन नहीं करेगा इंटरव्यू. आई एम टेलिंग यू, एंड आई हैव बीन प्रूव्ड राइट टाइम एंड अगेन. लेकिन बात नहीं सुनते आप. पहले बात तो कैमरा नहीं खोलते शुरू में, उसके बाद ग्रुप डिस्कशन नहीं करते, उसके बाद वो तैयारी नहीं करते. आई गिव यू एन अपॉर्चुनिटी टू इंटरेक्ट विद यू on sensitive questions, on questions that have already been asked. And imagine there are no questions. Okay, Om, please go ahead. 4 or 5 of you have done that job.
Sir, there was a question. I'm coming from UP, so why tourism has not prosperous enough in UP despite having so much opportunity? What is the reason? So that was the question. But inside my mind is going, the increase of tourism has been there. Agra is one of the example, but they were asking question why tourism has not pick up in Uttar Pradesh despite having such.
Yes. You can start by saying, sir, it may not be appropriate to say that tourism is not growing. Probably it is not growing at the pace at it should. So what do you, आपकी बात हो गई, आगे की बात हो गई. This is the structuring that you should learn in every answer. It may not be appropriate to say that tourism is not growing, but probably it is not growing at the pace at which it grows. If you have some data, say that. If you don't have the data, it doesn't matter. This is the factual response, that it is not that tourism is stagnant. And you, I mean, don't mention Taj Mahal, because Taj Mahal is a well-known place, so you don't have to hammer it again. It's growing. And then you can give some of the reasons why you feel tourism perhaps is on account of logistics, infrastructure, hotels, facilitation, cleanliness. You can list out reasons why tourism is not growing at that rate at it should. Okay? But don't start with yes and no. I keep telling everyone, don't start with conclusions in your answer, right? Okay, since there are no other questions, we'll wind it up. Oh, there is one. Abhay Pratap Singh.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, one of the question was asked to choose between one nation and one election bill and bill related to reservation for women. So they directly asked to choose, sir. How should we approach? Should we choose one, or is there any other way out?
No. In all such questions, start. Your opening remark is very important. You start by saying, sir, it's very difficult to choose between these two because to my mind, both are equally important.
Yes.
And then if he says, you choose one.
Oh, yes, sir.
Because see, they are actually asking you, आप धड़ से आप prioritize कर देते हैं, सोचते हैं कुछ. You will be faced with such situations in your actual career. So suppose only one bill has to be taken in the parliament, there's no time for two bills. Which of the two bills you will pick up? So then you should have a reason why you prefer one or the other. But your opening remark will say that you deem both to be important. That's very, very critical. If you don't do that and if you choose it, then there could be an issue that he's not applied his mind and he's gone and said, do this. Right?
Yes.
In 2-3 questions, I've tried to bring an opening remark which is a balanced one. And then you build your argument towards whatever you want to conclude. Okay, Puneet.
Sir, there was one question in the older transcripts, like what kind of features do you see in Viksit Bharat? In your opinion, what kind of India will be Viksit Bharat? So how do we answer such questions, sir? It is a very broad question.
No, why not? Why? I mean, then you can answer it. Start anything, list out 5-6 things, what you feel according to you is a Viksit Bharat. Anyway, anybody volunteering to answer this question, what in your view should be Viksit Bharat? Anybody? Can I see some hands? Physical hands? No new names. Let me pick up then. Vijay Lakshmi. Yes, Vijay Lakshmi.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Are you with us, Vijay Lakshmi? You are unmuted. You can answer this question. Okay, Khushbu. Please unmute Khushbu. Vijay Lakshmi is got frozen.
Sir, am I?
Hold on, Vijay Lakshmi. Yes, Khushbu.
Sir,
Yes,
am I audible? Am I
yes,
audible?
you are audible. Yes.
Sir, as per me, a Viksit Bharat will be a Bharat where there is a gender parity between all three gender. A Viksit Bharat will be a Bharat where there is a quality education for the student. A Viksit Bharat will be a skilled Bharat where youth will utilize the demographic dividend of India. A Viksit Bharat will be a Bharat where farmer will be using the technological advancement. A Viksit Bharat will be a Bharat where ISRO and DRDO will be reaching the top notch of its potential, and a Viksit Bharat will be a Bharat where there will be inclusivity in all its arenas.
Okay, so thanks, Khushbu. So this is an open, you can start saying anything, but be prepared for follow-up questions, because this is not the answer that they are going to evaluate you on. They're going to evaluate you what you're going to ask next. इनके मैं पकड़ूंगा पहले ISRO, or the whole questions could go to ISRO. Since you mentioned ISRO, they will ask you about ISRO.
Yes, sir.
About India's space plan. So here is also an opportunity for you to guide the board. Actually, you can put in things in which you are comfortable, and sure enough, they will catch up. Very good question for you to guide the board into asking questions which are your strengths, without being caught that you're trying to guide the board, because this is a very open-ended question. So in a way, it's a very good question for anybody. If I were asked that question, I will lead the board to what I want them to ask. It's a very open-ended question, no? So do what you want. It's a wonderful question for the candidate to answer, right? Okay, Mridul Pundir.
Yes, sir. Sir, my question is from previous transcript. It was a question that what we need, a just code or a uniform civil code?
Okay, interesting. Very interesting. See, I was expecting these type of questions from all of you. Okay, who will answer this question? What do we need, a just code or a uniform code? Anybody volunteering to answer? Kaushal has spoken so much. मैं यार उनको ढूंढ रहा हूं जो नहीं बोले बिल्कुल. आर्यमान, आप जितना छुपिए हम छुपने थोड़ी देंगे. पूछेंगे तो वही क्वेश्चन. आप बोर्ड के सामने बैठेंगे, टेबल के नीचे तो घुस नहीं पाएंगे. आप सामने बैठेंगे, जवाब देना पड़ेगा आपको.
I was writing the question. I was not trying to write.
Yeah. Yes.
So to choose between a just code and a uniform civil code is a uh, difficult choice, because for some a uniform civil code might not be the just code, and for some a just code would not satisfy the ambition that different communities have different laws regarding marriage and civil procedures. However, sir, any code based on systematic procedures and stakeholder engagement can become both uniform and just. So based on a logical and rational process where we have an inclusive approach in making the code can be both just and uniform.
आर्यमन, वेरी गुड आंसर, बट इसको भी रिवर्स कर दीजिए आप स्टार्ट इससे क्यों नहीं करते कि सर perhaps there is an assumption that a just code cannot be uniform code and uniform code cannot be a just code.
Yes.
It is not necessary that uniform civil code is not just. In fact, uniformity will help only if it is just.
Yes.
So आप ऐसे स्टार्ट कीजिए, मतलब आपने बात वही कही बट बाद में कही आपने, फिर आप जो आपको कहानी सुनानी आप सुना दीजिए. Your opening remark is very important. So if you think about it, if a uniform civil code is not just, then does it serve the purpose?
Yes.
So any code has to be just code.
Yes, sir.
We may discuss that aspect of just. But if any code is not just,
yes, sir.
It may not serve the desired purpose. However, the assumption that uniform civil code will not be just may not be correct, because uniform civil code can also be just. Provided stakeholders are discussed, they are taking into confidence, they are transparent, all that you said. I'm just restructuring the question. Okay?
Yes. Yes.
Good. Okay. SS. एक हमारे साथ SSS है, एक SS है, एक एडिशनल S वाले भी SSS थे. हाँ जी, बताइए.
Sir, after listening to your answer, I actually wanted to lower down my hand because I also wanted to give an answer similar to yours. I think India wants a just uniform code which ensures that all sections of the society get equal rights and respect, especially the females, and also ensures that the diversity of India does not get negatively impacted.
आपने तो बहुत ही बढ़िया आंसर दिया भाई इसको. इतना अच्छा तो मैंने भी स्ट्रक्चरिंग नहीं किया. And I see I think you had spoken earlier also in earlier sessions. What is your good name, SS? Please unmute SS. ये हमारे एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर साहब ने इतना अच्छा जवाब सुन के उनको बंदी कर दिया, म्यूट कर दिया. या आपने खुद बंद कर दिया है? आप अच्छा उधर ऊपर से बंद है, आप खोल दिए. एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर साहब क्यों अन्याय कर रहे हैं? SS साहब इतना अच्छा बोल के आपने उनका आपने म्यूट ही कर दिया. हाँ, क्या नाम है आपका?
Sir, my name is Sidak Singh.
Sorry?
Sidak Singh, sir.
Sidak Singh. आप पिछले किसी सेशन में बोले हैं या फर्स्ट टाइम बोले आज?
No, sir, I've spoken for the first time.
You speak well. Carry on. I think you'll do well. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Right. So, Mridul, you have another question or observation? You have your hand there.
Yes, sir. I want to put it like that, sir. Uniform Civil Code is indeed a just code, and later on explain what the Uniform Civil Code will offer.
भाई आप सब लोगों को मैं बार-बार हाथ जोड़ के कह रहा हूँ, इंडीड और जस्ट कोड और कंक्लूजन से स्टार्ट मत कीजिए. आपने पहले ही उसको जजमेंट दे दिया उस पर. मैं बार-बार रिपीटिंग दिस, डोंट स्टार्ट बाय सेइंग. पहली बात तो आपने जस्ट कहते आप इज अ जस्ट कोड नहीं, आपने इंडीड अ जस्ट कोड, आपने बिल्कुल ठप्पा मार दिया कि बिल्कुल बढ़िया है. और वहां कोई बैठा हुआ दूसरा आदमी आप पे चढ़ बैठेगा, कैसे करें? आप इसको थोड़ा पोलाइटली क्यों नहीं कहते कि सर the assumption that a uniform civil code will not be a just code may not be correct. And as I look at uniform civil code, फिर आप अपनी बात चाहे कह दीजिए कि is indeed a just code, फिर कह दीजिए, कोई बात नहीं है. लेकिन आप स्टार्ट मत कीजिए. Don't start with conclusions, my friends. You get into a corner, getting out of it becomes difficult. Yes, Yuvraj.
Sir, I have a question, sir, on MSP, sir. Sir, if the board asks me whether MSP should be legalized or not, sir, then what should be the way of approaching this question, sir? because they are directly asking me
let me frame this question and then put it before you. Should MSP be mandated through a law? Is that right now? This is what you want to ask?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
That's the
Yes,
question.
sir. Yes,
Should MSP be mandated through a law? Any volunteers to answer this question? मृदुल बोल चुके हैं, मैं ढूंढ रहा हूं जो नहीं बोले अभी तक. अंकित कुमार अग्रवाल अपने मोबाइल फोन पर हैं हम लोग से जुड़े हुए. ओके, अंकित कुमार अग्रवाल, प्लीज आंसर दिस क्वेश्चन.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, to the question of MSP should be legalized or not, the very basic
Hold on.
purpose of bringing MSP was
Hold on. MSP is not illegal as of now. So the question of legalizing does not arise. The question was, should MSP be mandated through a law? There's a difference between legalizing something and mandating through law. Okay.
Sir, by legalizing MSP through law will have a positive effect as well as it will be having a detrimental effect to the economy of India. While at one side it may improve the farmers' income, it may protect the farmers from distress, but at the same time it may also cause the economic distress, the financial stability to India, because it will lead to heavy financial burden. So any law, if has to be mandated, it has to be economically viable. So in my view, sir, legalizing mandating MSP by a law will make heavy financial burden for India, which may in a short term may be fruitful, but in a long term it may be detrimental to the economy of India.
See, there are a couple of hands there, but since we are running out of time, let me tell you, it's a very interesting question and how do you approach such questions. You must try and examine what is the additional value that comes through a law. Whatever Ankit said is in the executive order also. Right now, it is run through an executive order. MSP is managed through an executive order. What is the additional feature that happens as a consequence of making it a law? And that is what you should discuss. That by mandating it legally, what are the implications of it? The economic implications, you say, are already there. By making it into a law, there's no additional economic implication. What happens when a particular thing gets mandated either constitutionally or legally? Then once law comes in, it can be educated in a court of law in terms of providing that right that gets created by that law. If it's an executive order, first, it can be changed. So it does not bring a long-term understanding or long-term commitment of the government. It can be changed every year. But law cannot be changed every year. So it brings, on the one hand, it brings stability in things. On the other, it removes away the flexibility. Because if you got to change a law, you got to go back to the parliament. So what they are asking is not the economic implication of it. They are asking the legal implication of having a law. So not only here, in case of Right to Education Act, it is not that education was not being delivered before that. Government was putting in schemes, but it was through executive orders. When it becomes a law, it creates certain legal rights of the people, which can be enforced through the court of law. You understand this difference?
Yes, sir.
So we have run out of time, but I think I would suggest to all of you that you should go through the script. It's nice of others who have given their interview to give us the script, and Rajat is regularly sharing them in the platform. In fact, we'll request you also, when you have your interview, do share those scripts, because that's how the world is developed. You gain from somebody else, you give it back to the society. This is what you're giving back to the society. So whatever scripts that have come, my suggestion to all of you is go through them again. If you feel some questions need to be discussed here, I can have another round of discussion. But you must be wanting to have that. If you're not read those questions, you will never have those questions coming to your mind, no additional questions to your mind, and then we need not have this conversation here. But go through those scripts. There will be more scripts coming in the days to come. Go through them If you feel that you require another session, I'm open to that. We can have another session. Yuvraj, last word to you. Oh, okay. Put your hand down.
Sir,
Yeah,
sir,
Yuvraj.
I have a question, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, like there was one question that why Trump administration is not imposing tariffs on India. So, sir, how can we answer this specifically apart from that economic modalities have been given in the budget? So, can we bring in the personal angle of PM Modi and
No.
Trump?
Please don't do all that. Please don't do all that.
Okay, sir.
If what Trump is doing, you can't conjecture what he's doing, no?
Yes, sir.
So you say, sir, I don't really know what could be the reason they're not doing. There could be many reasons. Maybe he's busy with Mexico and Canada so far, and maybe later on he'll put some duties. You see, how can you say why Trump is not doing it? Only Trump knows why he is not doing it. Or he may be totally indifferent. And don't bring in your strength and say, sir, we are so powerful that Trump did not dare impose tariff on us. और जिस दिन आपको इंटरव्यू उसी दिन शाम को इंटरव्यू टैरिफ इंपोज हो गया तो आप इधर उधर देखते रह जाएंगे क्यों भाई इन चक्करों में पड़ रहे हैं सिंपल रखिए अपना जवाब you don't have to answer on behalf of Trump that this is the reason because I had a nice meeting with beer hug with the Prime Minister of India I am not imposing tariff वो हंसेंगे सब आपके ऊपर ठीक है okay so we conclude here keep participating in group discussions keep reading editorial articles aloud, recording them. I never fail to mention these things because to me, they're very critical in improving your diction. And it was interesting interacting with all of you. I will be open to another round, provided you feel the need of it. You message in case you require, after reading this, that you require another session. I can have. Otherwise, all the best to you. Take care, keep smiling, enjoy yourself. Don't waste too much time in libraries. I still see some of you, और मैं लाइब्रेरी में था इसलिए ग्रुप डिस्कशन नहीं कर पाया 100% वो नहीं आएगा बंदा सिविल सर्विस में बता रहा हूं जो आज की तारीख में लाइब्रेरी में बैठ के पढ़ रहा है इंटरव्यू से 10 दिन 15 दिन पहले वो नहीं आएगा मैं बता रहा हूं आप लिख के रख लो मुझसे वो नॉलेज आपने बहुत ले ली है भाई आप पढ़ लो अखबार पढ़ लो बहुत से बहुत जो आप बोलोगे जितना प्रयास करोगे एज मच एज यू कन्वर्स दैट विल हेल्प यू डोंट गो टू द लाइब्रेरी गो फॉर